Hello everyone, my name is Atsushi Takase. I'm a senior and major in English literature, and today I'm going to talk about Japan. So it's I think I know it's weird to talk about Japan in front of the Japanese students and Japanese professors, and yeah, I can see today, but in front of the in front of the foreign student who study Japanese culture. But through our lecture, we watched Matadayo and Hidden Blaze or something. We watched a movie which have a Japanese cultural context. So I think it might be interesting to learn Japanese culture again. So I will present Japan today. So this is today's agenda. I talked about geography, history, economy, and legal and political environment, and culture, and finally business communications. I think business communication is interesting for you, so I hope you guys will enjoy it. So first of all, it's a geography. So Japan consists of 4 main islands: Hokkaido, Honshu, Shikoku, and Kyushu. So it's structured into 47 prefectures, and the area is 145,036 square miles, which is half size of Texas, because I lived in Texas before, so I use Texas. And the largest island country is Japan is the largest island country in East Asia, and it's the fourth largest island country in the world. More than 50% are mountains and forests, and many volcanoes and the country experience frequent earthquakes. In history, it's settled about 35,000 years ago by people from another Asian mainland, like China. History of Japan as a nation is about 2,500 years. I put 3 important periods. So first is the Heian period. It's when Japanese literature was completed. Second one is the Shogunate period. Samurai lord called Shogun took over the government and ruled Japan. And the Tokugawa shogunate adopted the policy Sakoku that isolated the whole country from the outside of the world. I think the movie we watched, The Silence, the movie we watched is about this age, Shogunate period. And and the monopoly of external trade and the prohibition of Christianity and the ban on Japanese travel to and from abroad on penalty of death. And the third one is the post-war history, since 1945. And after they lose World War II, the whole operation was mainly carried out by the United States. Northeast Islands was occupied by Russia, and the Southeast Islands, including Okinawa, were controlled by the US. With the peace treaty in 1952, the occupation by US ended. Okinawa was returned to Japan in 1972, but the territorial dispute with Russia concerning the northern islands has not been solved yet. And I will go on the economy. Japan is the world's 4th largest importer and exporter of goods, and trade account for 31.3% of the country's GDP. Foreign trade is an essential element of the Japanese economy, but the economy is not fully open. And it poses extensive non-tariff barriers, especially in the agriculture sector. In 2018, Japan and the EU signed an EPA, which taking a step closer to an economic bloc that would account for nearly a third of all global trade. After the withdrawal of the US from the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which is TPP, and Japan led the effort to renegotiate the agreement with the remaining 10 countries. Legal and political environment. Meiji Reformation in 1868, influenced by legal theory on Prussia and France. After World War II, new constitution created and laws heavily influenced by the United States. And current legal system similar to European system. This is Prime Minister Shinto Abe, and that one is Emperor Naruhito. This is a new emperor. He became an emperor this April this year, I think. And exclusive emperor is just ceremonial head of state, and that nominates prime minister and the emperor approves. Powers lie in cabinet, including prime minister, his or her appointees. Official source of law is a Kenpo. Kenpo is a national right, is the only law making body in the country. Emperor enacts laws by publishing them in the Kenpo. Supreme Court and the lower courts approves the Constitution. Supreme Court judges are lifetime appointments. And religion. Japanese religion is just Shinto and Buddhism. Shinto is an old Japanese culture. Buddhism was brought from the mainland in the 6th century. And every village and town or district in Japan will have its own Shinto shrine, and that is dedicated to the local kami. Kami means a god. And people will often travel to attend different shrines to pray to different gods. So, for example, we have Dazai Futemangu, which has a god of wisdom or learning. Family life. It's heightened the sense of belonging and loyalty. Independence is emphasis on the collective society. Praise family's interest before oneself. Act of single individual impacts the reputation of one family's name, and generally patriarchal. Mothers have a majority of authority for decisions relating to the children's future. And education. In Japanese school, goal of the first 3 years of school in elementary school is to establish good manners and to develop character, not to judge the child's knowledge. Most schools do not employ janitors or custodians. The students green instead to teach them to work as a team and learn to respect the work. So actually, end of the year, it's a Japanese tradition. We clean the house, from the attic to the basement. So I often have my mom or my dad have to clean a toilet, and I can use this experience from the elementary school when I clean my house. And nearly all students were uniform in an attempt to remove social barriers. At the end of high school, students will take a competitive test called the National Center Test of University Admissions. I think that this system is changing, but it's still there is still a test, I think. This score determines what universities will accept you, and strive for a high score to be accepted into the more prestigious universities. And the last one is a business custom and practices. So business custom is really important and treated with utmost respect and received with both hands with a sample. And the Japanese custom is a group-oriented. Decisions affecting a group will usually be made with a consensus. And the saving face is also important. You should avoid pointing out mistakes in front of the others. And the relationship is of course important. They tend to want to know a great deal about their partners in order to build trust and loyalty. And if you want to do a business in Japan, this is going to be a good tip for you. Giving a small gift is an appreciated gesture. So if you see a new person or go to the new company, you should bring your small gift. And if your host extended an invitation, accept overwhelmingly. And we already received a flat negative response, and even when they don't agree. And extremely aware of hierarchy. You should aware of hierarchy of Japan when you want to do a business. And the last one is tipping. I know tipping is very common in the outside of Japan, especially US. And but tipping is not customary in Japan. It's sometimes considered rude. And this is a reference. Thank you.